Hearing none, we'll move along to approval of the minutes of the August 4th council meeting. You had those in your packet over the weekend, so you've had plenty of time to review those. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move along to consent items, which we have none, and then we will go along to presentation of accounts and claims. Mary, when you're ready.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Boonville as follows. Section 1. For the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the City of Boonville, which have been allowed by the Council at the regular meeting thereof on August 18, 2014, the sum of $444,227.51. General Fund, $287,226.50. Sanitation, $21,749.06. CIP tax, $13,026.75. Waterworks, $40,645.69. Capital projects, $25,931.93. Wastewater, $42,451.18. Tourism, $5,611.93. Gaming, $7,584.47. Parks Water, 0. Section 2, the bookkeeper is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed, as above, amounting to $444,227.51, being the total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3, the sergeant shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. First reading on August 18, 2014, read for the second time this 18th day of August 2014, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mayor, I make a motion this be approved.
Thank you, Morris. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Becky, thank you. Questions? Roll call.
Ehlers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll move along to unfinished business. Item A, Katy Bridge Coalition Quarterly Report. And Sarah Gallagher is here this evening and will be presenting.
Thank you very much. I guess I'll sign in officially. Okay. We have quite a few things to report this evening. I've got them orderly. I'll just go ahead and go through them, and then if you have any questions about any of the items, if you just make a note to yourself, and we'll try to address those at the end. First of all, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to come and be able to speak with you tonight and give you an update. We're very excited about the progress that we've made this summer and excited to come and tell you all about it. Just a note, we had memorial contributions totaling $1,680 in the name of former Mayor Bud Kemp, and that we want to thank everybody that contributed to that. That was a very nice of them to include us in their memorials. Also, we had $150 in sales to tourism of some coffee cups that we had on hand, and there'll be some more about that a little bit down the line here. There is an article in the Boonville Daily News today, which Edward just told me about just a minute ago. I did the interview last week, and so it should be available for you all when you get home if you hadn't seen it already. The new website that we have designed, we've been working with Missouri Life Magazine and Harry Katz and Evan Wood for the Kickstarter program and the website. The website is up. We sent all the city council, if you all received everyone on the city council plus city administration received an email this afternoon with the new website. Did anybody see that?
Oh, yeah.
Do you like it? You think it was good? We're very excited about it. We think it's really, really good. And wait till you see the Kickstarter. It's going to be launched tonight probably. We had to make a couple of changes this afternoon. And with Kickstarter, once you launch on Kickstarter, you can make no changes. Unlike the website, which may not be heavily populated now, but we'll be adding some things to it along. We can always make changes on the website, but Kickstarter goes in and is approved, and that's it. So it's taking just a little bit longer. We want to thank Evan Wood and Harry Katz, also Notley Hawkins, who let us use his images on there. It was very generous of him. As you know, those are very, very beautiful images on that are on the Kickstarter, and I think you'll all be really pleased when you see it. The place to locate, well, the website address is, for those of you in TV land, is www.katiebridgefriends.org. That's the new website address. And the Kickstarter is www.kickstarter.com/restore the Katy Bridge. That's where you would go and get that information. The radio commercials will start on KWRT probably tomorrow, depending if the Kickstarter gets up tonight. But as soon as the Kickstarter is up and running, then we'll start with an ad campaign on KWRT. The press release is due to go out as soon as the Kickstarter link is live, and we hope that's going to be either, it's already up now, or it will be later today, and we expect that will draw some media attention throughout the region, as various newspapers and other venues, TV stations and everything have already been contacted. We also work with tourism with the help of Edward Lang, thanks Edward, back there, to redesign our brochure, and those will go to print tomorrow. We will be sending out 100 tax credit letters to prospects we've identified, and those will go out Friday or as soon as the brochures are finished, whichever comes first. We formed a fundraising committee, and that will meet next week for the first time. They will work on specifically on the tax credits, and we have also identified bridge real estate cost for naming rights, and so those things will also be included as we contact some larger donors that we've identified. There's a new coffee cup out. It's beautiful. Wayne Lammers was working on that. It's going to be available at both the Wine Walk and the upcoming event, which is the Boonville River Festival and Cleanup, which will be September 20th, as well as they will be available on the Kickstarter as one of the prizes or things that you get for various levels of giving. Wayne has made contact with Trains Magazine and has already received word back from them that they're interested in maybe doing an article. So it's not been approved, but they have expressed interest. He sent them a letter and with some images of the bridge that he had, and they were very positive in their response, so it looks like maybe we'll be having that article as well. On social media, we now have a presence on 8 different social media platforms, to include Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, LinkedIn, YouTube, Foursquare, Instagram, and Snapchat, whatever those are. So for those people who do that kind of thing, we're out there. We will be pushing out new materials through those social media channels as is appropriate. I don't know whether you have been aware, I've done several interviews, several places about this, and we feel like that because this project could take a long time, like maybe even 10 years, I mean, who knows how long it can take with approval processes and all these things, we feel like that we have got to now pull in the younger generation, which is more social media attuned, and this is so part of this Kickstarter, and the website and everything is designed to attract what we consider to be the new users of the Katy Trail and the bridge. Let's see, events. The Wine Walk is September 6th from 5 to 8 p.m. In downtown Boonville. We have added a new winery this year and also a new venue, which is the Marketplace Home Decor down where Your Money's Worth used to be. And so they're very excited to be included this year as well, and we're happy to also to have the new winery. Posters are up in the downtown windows, maps have been created, invitations have been sent out, wine bags and glasses are in, and we're in a good place thanks to Paul Shannon and Gail Klusmeyer, who's been working on that. Boonville River Festival and Cleanup is September 20th. It's going to be quite a nice event here in Boonville down by the Isle of Capri, and we will have a presence, a booth at that event, and we'll have coffee cups, and we will also be talking to people, as we will at the Wine Walk, about being able to give them information about the bridge, where we are on social media. We'll also be able to talk a little fundraising too, and maybe identify some potential givers that we would just meet face to face. We feel like that this tax credit, that to end up the tax credit part, we feel like that this is really person-to-person contact, that this is not something, Kickstarter's a totally separate thing, but we will be making personal contacts, and that's why we've done the fundraising committee. So we're working on an event for the spring. We're not sure yet what that will be. And also, we should have an event whenever we do any kind of groundbreaking or any kind of thing when we actually start phase one physically. So, anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Sarah, how many dollars of tax credits do you have left?
I want to say it is 92, is it 92?
92.
No.
74. 74,000.
Is there expiration on that?
I think at the end of this year, but we've said our deadline is October 1st, and we're going to, that's one of the reasons why we've been pushing so hard to get this Kickstarter and our materials lined up. These materials, when you look at Kickstarter and you look at the website, you will see that these are very modern, updated, I think, very impactful materials. And we wanted to have all that started before we actually then go out and find the types of donors that will be using the tax credits. And that's a kind of a very specific market at this point. So the 4 people that we've selected to be on the fundraising committee, I think, can get the job done, and we're excited about getting our focus on specifically that. So, anybody else, any questions? No? Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Item B, second reading of bill number 2014-018, establishing the tax levy for fiscal year 14-15.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, establishing the rate of taxes to be levied on all properties subject to taxes in the City of Boonville, Missouri for the fiscal year beginning April 1st, 2014.
Looking for a motion?
Mayor,
Morris?
make a motion this be approved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ned had his hand up. Ned?
Second.
That means
Have to raise your hand.
age before beauty.
It was all about the hand, Kari. It was all about the hand.
Next time I'll be quicker.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Thank you. Second reading of bill number 2014-019, approving local agency funding contracts for fiscal year 2014-15.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, approving local agency funding contracts for services, providing an effective date therefor, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Morris,
Mayor, make a motion this be approved.
do I hear a second? Becky?
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Item D, second reading of bill number 2014-020, amending the 2-hour parking restriction in the downtown area.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, amending Section 12-14B of the Code of General Ordinances entitled Payment in lieu of Fine, 2-hour parking penalty, providing an effective date thereof, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Morris?
Mayor, make a motion to be approved.
Kari?
Second.
Questions? Morris?
One question. I guess it's Street and Alley, ML? Yes. I know once before when this came up, we didn't want to do the courthouse on account of the employees at the courthouse would use up all the parking spaces. Was that discussed again this year?
It was. We considered the courthouse, Court Street, courthouse, High Street, Hotel Frederick, and I didn't feel it was a problem.
Okay.
I think since they now have a parking lot
Okay.
and more parking, So hopefully they won't take advantage of the on-street
Well,
parking.
yeah, they've had the parking lot since they built the EOC, the jail,
Uh-huh.
so they've had it for 12, 15 years.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item E, second reading of bill number 2014-021, approving a minor subdivision plat for the Evangelical United Church of Christ at Spring and 7th.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, approving a minor subdivision plat located in Lot 244 of the original town, Section 35, Township 49 North, Range 17 West, in the City of Boonville in Cooper County, Missouri, at the corner of Spring and 7th Streets, providing an effective date therefore and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Morris,
Mayor, make a motion to be approved.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Susan. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
New business, item A, first and second reading of bill number 2014-022, approving the depository agreement between the City of Boonville and the First State Community Bank. Earl, would you like to make some comments before we do the readings and let Mary catch her breath?
I can. We took proposals on a depository. We just are finishing up a one-year extension with United Missouri Bank. Kind of the basis of that extension was at the end of our three-year term with them, Mr. James kind of made it clear that their corporate direction was to procure less public funds. They get plenty of those and got a lot during the economic calamity because they have perceived as having a lot of financial strength, and that unless it was clearly in their best interest to do it, and he made it clear that our contract with them was not in their best interest to do it. So we decided on a one-year extension, and I told him we would move it on and open it up, and consequently, you see their proposal was as you might expect. So we took proposals. We had 4 responses. I was pleased with that, and I think the best proposal from our perspective is pretty clear cut. It's First Community State, the new one that took out Bank of America, or took out several of their properties in this region. And they actually had, given the climate, a very nice proposal as far as I'm concerned. We have a floor of 25 basis points on idle funds, and they aren't charging us any fees, which no one else was willing to do. So you see some of them, we didn't quantify all of them just because it wasn't necessary, but some of those could easily get to be 4 figures a month when they're charging a nickel per check or something like that. So I'm pleased with the arrangement and recommend we move forward with it.
Mary, if you would please, this will be a first and a second reading because we need to move along on this ordinance. So Mary will be doing a first and second reading, and then we can take questions.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, approving the depository agreement between the City of Boonville, Missouri and First State Community Bank with a complimentary pledge and custodial agreement for securities interests with UMB Bank N.A., providing an effective date therefore and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance. Whereas, the City of Boonville advertised requests for proposals for the depository banking services for the city for the next 3 years with 4 responses. And whereas the bid for First State Community Bank provides the best terms for the depository bank services as their proposal has the lowest cost for requested service and the highest rate of interest to be paid to the city on idle funds on deposit. And whereas the depository agreement in conjunction with the pledge and custodial agreement both herein attached and incorporated by reference as Attachment A, provide the terms and conditions for the transfer and management of the monies on deposit, as well as provide the proper securities, reporting, and perfect a security lien for assets above the FDIC coverage limits. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that the City of Boonville, Missouri hereby agrees and executes the depository agreement and the pledge and custodial agreement herein attached as Attachment A, and made a part hereof as fully as if set forth herein verbatim, as well as any other authorization documents necessary to carry out the intent of these agreements. Section 2, that the city administrator and city clerk are hereby authorized to execute on behalf of the City of Boonville these agreements and other authorization documents. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be in full force on September 30th, 2014. Section 4, that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. First and second readings, August 18, 2014, read for the first and second time and passed this 18th day of August, 2014, after a copy of this ordinance and referenced agreement and exhibits have been made available for public inspection prior to its first and second readings.
Mayor, make a motion this be approved.
We need a second reading on this.
Second reading
Second
title
reading.
only.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, approving the depository agreement between the City of Boonville, Missouri and First State Community Bank with a complimentary pledge and custodial agreement for security interests with UMB Bank N.A., providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Now I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to be approved.
Thank you, Morris.
I'll second.
Noah seconds it. Questions or comments for Earl? Noah?
I'm going to, well, first, how long do you think this will take to transfer all these over? And second, I'm assuming there's some sort of SOP the city has to move all from existing accounts to the new bank? Is that a time-consuming thing, or is it?
Yeah, we would hope to meet that September 30th deadline to get it over. Frankly, we won't because there's so many things that just bounce back and forth through ACHs and so forth. It might be 6 months before the last one of them.
Because I was reading some of our citizens pay their bills through it, so
Right.
they know then if they get
Well, we're
something at
not
that
changing
bank.
the credit card thing. So I don't know. Yeah, there's a risk of that because we
little
get some
bit of
stuff too.
disruption.
And you look for it and it's still sitting over at the old bank 6 months later, you know.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
so it's you just have to keep chasing it.
Want to prepare in case we get
Yeah,
phone
yeah.
calls, we'll know
We're-
who to direct them to. Or,
And we start looking, yeah.
okay, all
yeah.
right.
So, it's not painless anymore.
No, then not.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Eaton,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Hurt.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Item B, consider resolution R 2014-11, approving a sublease of a portion of Johnson Fieldhouse to Boonville R1 Schools.
A resolution of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing the sublease of a portion of Johnson Fieldhouse to the Boonville R1 School District and providing an effective date therefor. Whereas, the YMCA and the Boonville R1 School District have a program agreement for the school district to lease 2 classrooms on the upper level of the Johnson Fieldhouse beside the gymnasium for the alternative school program, in light of the imminent demolition of the central school building where the program has historically been conducted. And whereas the facility lease between the city and YMCA contains reasonable use and sublease clauses requiring prior written notice and consent by the city for a sublease, and whereas the YMCA and school district had already completed their negotiations and executed the program agreement prior to notifying the city of their plans, and therefore the amendment to the alternative school program agreement is the city's attempt to use the prior documents as the basis for fulfilling the YMCA's duties under the facility lease and assuring that proposed activities are conducted safely and cooperatively without creating undue burdens on the parties. And whereas the city believes that providing a suitable location for youth education in a supervised environment by the school district is a reasonable use of the facility. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that the YMCA is hereby authorized to sublease a portion of the Johnson Fieldhouse to the Boonville R1 School District under the provisions of the facility lease, the Alternative School Program Agreement, and amendment to the Alternative School Program Agreement, copies of which are marked Exhibit A, attached hereto, and made a part hereof. Section 2, that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute the amendment to the Alternative School Program Agreement and attestation of consent on behalf of the City of Boonville. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage and approval. Passed this 18th day of August, 2014, by the City Council of Boonville, Missouri.
Do I hear a motion? We adopt this resolution? Morris?
Motion to be approved.
Second?
I second.
Thank you, Susan. Questions or comments?
I got a question.
Okay, Morris?
Matt, where did y'all come up with a $500 fee at per month?
Where did we come up with a $500 fee?
Yeah.
We pay the utilities, we're paying the cleaning, and the minor repairs and such for the classroom. It was a minor number that Mark actually recommended. I didn't give much thought to it because it wasn't a large number and wouldn't affect us much at all.
Noah?
Only question I have, and it's probably more directed to Megan, and that's just to make sure that, I noticed that there's provisions in their lease that the Y is named as an insured on the school district's insurance, and I noticed that they have in our lease holding us harmless. Is that protecting us if something happens to school district employee or personnel or children? Is the city protected through that arrangement?
I think it is. We've got a couple different things on our facility lease, and through that, we're getting a new certificate of liability insurance that names the city as an additional insured. So this was just an example to show, but we are getting that.
Okay,
So
all right.
those three things pulled together with an understanding of kind of who's on first, and trying to identify a couple of the riskier areas and activities that we kind of all share in to make sure everybody knows who's doing what. That was kind of the intent of pulling those things together. So,
Okay,
yep,
thanks.
you're right.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Pert,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Matt, full speed ahead on that little project. Item C, consider approval of highway road salt bid for fiscal year 2014-15. ML, did you have any comments you would like to make?
First of all, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy figuring it out. I had sent out requests for bids to vendors that we've never used before. I didn't get responses from those folks. I had sent out requests for bids to Independent Salt. They used to be, years ago, our sole supplier, and then for whatever reason, they went into different markets, and they specifically asked not to be included. This year, they asked to be included, and I included them, so they're a vendor we hadn't seen for probably 8 or 10 years. As you can see in my memo, it varies. Independent Salt's the least per ton, but there's absolutely no guarantees that we will have any salt. Wren Potterfield Trucking, who has been a vendor, or who has been the successful bidder for on and off with North American Salt for the last several years, guarantees 300 tons, but that's the limit of his guarantee. And then North American Salt, of course, guarantees everything I asked for if I purchase 80% of what I asked for. But that comes at a price, that guarantee. So my recommendation is that we take the guarantees, and that would be 300 tons at $87 a ton from Wren Potterfield, and then up to 1,240 tons from North American Salt at $112 a ton. I might mention that $112 a ton, it's all relative, but that $112 a ton is actually a pretty good price. Last year, towards the end, March, early spring, MoDOT was paying as much as $140 a ton.
Any questions for ML? No?
Yeah, I had a question about your comment on here where it says, our current approximately 200 tons on hand, but our capacity is 1,200. Are you saying 1,200 is the number you need or want, or is that just our full capacity? What do we
fill it
use
up.
it a year?
First of all, you take 50 tons out of that, or 25 times 2 for New Franklin's Bend. So we make that commitment, but you're right. We've got about 200 tons on hand, and we can hold 12, actually a little more than 12 if we're good at packing it in there. That'll fill our bin. I started last winter with a full bin. So,
even the 300 might not, and the 200 may not get us through.
right. But then again, it may, and I'm not going to say that.
Sure.
I can't say that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's
It
right.
hasn't snowed yet, so we don't know. Okay.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve this.
I make a motion, we accept ML's recommendation.
Okay, do I hear a second? Becky? Thank you. And that is for Wren Potter Field Trucking and North American Salt. Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item D, consider Resolution R 2014-012, approving an agreement with Stockman Construction Corp. for concrete street repairs, 2014.
A resolution of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing and approving an agreement between Stockman Construction Corp. And the City of Boonville, Missouri pertaining to concrete street repairs 2014 and providing an effective date therefor. Whereas the City of Boonville has solicited and received bids for this project and determined that Stockman Construction Corp. Represents the best bid pursuant to the purchasing code set forth in Section 2-20 of the City of Boonville Code of Ordinances. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that a certain agreement between Stockman Construction Corp. And the City of Boonville relating to the concrete street repairs 2014, a copy of which is marked Exhibit A is attached hereto and made a part hereof is hereby approved. Section 2, that the city administrator and the city clerk are hereby authorized to execute and attest said agreement on behalf of the City of Boonville. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage and approval. Passed this 18th day of August, 2014, by the City Council of Boonville, Missouri.
Morris,
Mayor, make a motion to be approved.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kari. Earl, did you have any comments
No, I don't.
on the bid sheet? Okay. Questions? Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Reports of standing committees. Street, alley, and sanitation. Kari?
Yeah, I was not able to attend. The notes are here. Didn't look like there was much going on that night. So, any questions?
Planning and zoning. Becky?
Meeting was canceled due to lack of agenda items. We'll meet in September.
Thank you. Item C, the IDA and MFA. Noah?
On the IDAs, you can see there's always a lot of irons in the fire, and we're just trying to work through many different approaches there with the economic development. On MFA, the main issue there was revolving loan fund that we're working on. I think we've tweaked it enough times. I think it's probably a pretty good product right now.
Any questions for Noah? Please pass along. It's nice to have timely minutes.
I will.
It's very nice, so,
That was the first thing I said when I got there, and so it looks like they have
yeah.
picked it up a little
So
bit.
be sure and thank them.
I will, thanks.
Police board, Ned?
Great meeting. The subjects of the meeting are in the minutes that you have in front of you. Are there any questions?
Historic preservation card.
Yeah, this was a good meeting. Kate kind of facilitated everything. It was our first meeting. Everybody was kind of introduced and talked about upcoming training and education and so forth. The preservation conference. Anybody have any questions? Let me know.
Okay, we'll move along to reports of city officials, city administrator. Mayor, I do have a couple of things. I did pass out a letter from Bob Rora with the Boonville Housing Authority, and they have a vacancy that they would like to fill, and they are recommending Mr. Don Smith, who was former Captain Smith of the Boonville Police Department, and he'll be replacing Commissioner Roy Browning, who resigned. He's a longtime commissioner, so they would appreciate that. Yes, Ned?
Since I sit on that one,
Oh, okay.
I move we approve.
Okay.
I
Noah?
second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Okay. And the second thing is at 6:45 this evening, we had a proclamation for the Master Gardeners were here, and hopefully you'll see a picture of that in the paper. And I would just like to make a few comments, not only about the Master Gardeners, but about a lot of people here in Boonville who do a lot of things to make our town more beautiful. As summer's winding down, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who maintains a public or private flowering garden in the summer. It's not always easy to haul water, weed, and tend in the hot summer, but this effort pays off and helps make Boonville more beautiful for the citizens and the tourists who visit our town. Oftentimes, when I'm visiting other communities, it's the little things like the cleanliness, the flowers, the streetscapes that make a town feel warm and inviting and make me want to go back. And I feel like we have lots of private citizens, clubs, and city staff who work hard to keep our town beautiful and inviting during the summer. I think they deserve some recognition and thanks. In partnership with tourism, I'm happy to announce that we have an expanded and improved on our Flowering Gardens in Boonville brochure, which I think probably all the council received, and are available down at the tourism office. I would encourage everyone who's not taken the Old Town Flowering Garden walking tour to take advantage of the great weather and check them out. You may discover some hidden gems you didn't know existed, or realize how many people maintain gardens for all of our enjoyment. The walking tour will also give you some great views of the Missouri River, take you to some of Boonville's oldest streets in town, and showcase some native flowering plants. Earlier this evening, I had the opportunity to present Jackie Hickam and the Master Gardeners with a proclamation thanking them and everyone else for their hard work and contribution to keeping Boonville blooming. The Master Gardeners have partnered with the city on several occasions, most recently at the Katy Depot, and their commitment, knowledge, and work are a true asset to Boonville. It's volunteers like the Master Gardeners who help make Boonville the great community it is. So thank you to the Master Gardeners and all of our gardeners in Boonville. And that's all I have. City Councilor Megan?
I'm not here this evening.
Okay, Economic Development. City Clerk Mary?
Yes, just one thing to remind you that our next meeting will be on Tuesday, September 2nd, due to the Labor Day holiday on Monday, September 1st.
Okay. Can't believe it's Labor Day already. Next item, miscellaneous. Any miscellaneous this evening?
I have one.
Okay, Ned?
Pass these around. What to do with the dangerous dilapidated building situation? I want you to all understand I'm a lifetime entrepreneur, and when I see problems, I think about the problems and how to fix them, and I don't stand back and wait. Let us all first back up and admit that the DDB situation is not just rental buildings, but is also owner-occupied properties, publicly owned properties, commercial/Main Street properties, and large business manufacturing and storage buildings. When we do not recognize the breadth of the problem, and we're not being arbitrary and capricious in our approach, let us then admit that the DDB situation is a full-scale challenge for which we need a full-scale approach. Second, we should accept that indeed we have power in our current ordinances and processes. The International Maintenance Code is a part of the Boonville law right now, as testified by Mike Kelly. We have an excellent, well-qualified, one-person inspection department. We're the council and staff to be fully committed to getting a handle on the breadth and width of the city's DDB situation. The steps, in my mind, are fairly simple. A, survey the city for DDBs. B, inspect the DDBs from outside and, if allowed, also from the inside, and set requirements for improvement or even destruction depending on the situation. C, follow the established process of informing and giving owners the opportunity to rectify or to destroy. And D, enforce the requirements. Firm, fair, consistent. So can we act now? Do we have the staff to perform these surveys, inspections, and the informing process? No, we really don't on a quantity basis. We can do it as we've been doing. But do we have an inside opportunity? And I believe, yes, we do. Currently, there have been and continue to be discussions on the manning situation with the fire department. As we know from these discussions, the bulk, perhaps 85% of the calls of our firefighters are handling are health-related and a duplication of the service the Cooper County Ambulance District provides and has countywide property tax to pay its costs. Do we currently need the number of firefighters we have since fire calls have continued to decline and the justification for manning is in doing fire/rescue/health-related runs that are a duplicate of the county's ambulance service? How can we be sure of what we really need? How about a 2-year test? What if we assign what appears to be our 2 extra firefighters to work for Steve, or work with Steve, however we want to say that, on the survey and inspections and notifications of the DDB challenge for the next 2 years and maybe knock out 75% of our problem? That's my estimate, by the way. This move would keep the qualified firefighters available and employed with the city, would give Steve gentlemen to help him who know and understand buildings and buildings conditions, and had to be good students. They had to be able to study to learn to become firefighters. This gives Boonville a 3-man team to fight DDBs, still keeps backup firefighters, and yields a great team with which Steve can move forward more rapidly on the DDBs. To implement this change on medical calls and emergency calls is also achievable since the emergency management people are easily informed and simply can change their protocols such that the fire rescue is only called on those emergencies requiring rescue or fire protection. And the county's ambulance service can still call for help if needed after they arrive and appraise. These protocols are easily set. Is this the only staff sharing possibility? Maybe there are other possibilities. So how do our citizens and the city of Boonville benefit when we do this? Well, in actual fact, we get an excellent start on our DDBs being handled. We keep excellent fire and rescue protection. We get 2 years to accomplish some improvement in the DDBs and also find out what our real service and manning needs are for the fire department and the inspection department, while maintaining qualified help that can be transferred back if needed. What would be a reasonable time to start? How about October 1st or November 1st? You might ask, how does this affect the regulating of the rentals? Well, Mike gave us thought-provoking suggestions. They can still be set as the guideline for NOAA's committee approach. Once the survey is done and we know whether our problem is 1%, 5%, or 20% of our city's inventory of buildings, we will still be committed to our goal to improve the safety and beauty of our wonderful city. The important thing to do is to get started, to attack the problem, and attack the problem soon. I respectfully submit this as my commentary on the DEBs.
Thank you, Ned. Any other comments? Noah?
Well, first, let me say our committee did meet. We met one time already, just last week for the first time. And many of the things you brought up here, we've discussed. So, I mean, I don't think our committee and what you're suggesting here is that far, apart from one another. I would suggest, though, that we've only met one time. And I guess the only thing I would say in challenge of what your comments were is the 75% of our problem. I'm getting the interpretation that, we may have, if the past is any indicative of the future, it took us 6 years to take down 40 houses in that program. So if we've got between 100 and 200 homes that may fall on our list, I don't know if that's attainable no matter how many people you put on it in 2 years, but certainly I agree with your, assertion that sooner we start, the sooner we get done.
Okay. So you would like a little more time to flesh a few things
Well,
out with the committee?
we only met once, and
Right.
we got to, and the other members that were present can speak for themselves. But I really felt like we at least came to some common ground on many different issues, and I think we've proposed some plan of actions that I think are reasonable, and I think we'll get the job done. Be honest with you, the bottom line is cost. Cost and personnel. Whether we get help from 2 firemen or we get, a part-time employee that's probably, tell you the truth, even though they may have skills in the building side, from what I gather from the information from staff, we actually probably need an administrative person just as much, somebody that understands the
process.
The process of, what's that called?
Ownership and
Well,
title.
plus given the notices and the timelines and the clerical duties that are involved in it, which I'm not saying the firemen may or may not have those skills, but it's just, there's a lot of variables to this, and none of them are cheap.
Okay. Steve?
You take a town like Harrisonville, they have a ordinance enforcer. And they're a little bigger than we are. But somebody has to be responsible for enforcing the ordinances. Kate has done a wonderful job this last year or so, but she doesn't do that very long. If you really want to clean up town, you're going to have to get some personnel out there that's responsible for that, and that's his job. It may be a part-time job, but if you want to clean it up, somebody's got to be responsible for doing the dirty work.
Any other comments? Ned?
I think, does the council believe this needs to be attacked? If the council believes that it needs to be attacked, that's our job. The council says to staff, or, this is where we want to go, and this is what we want to get done. I don't think it's council's job, Steve, to your point, and to Noah's point, to dictate how they get it done. I think we can give them ideas, we can give them thoughts, like I gave them the thoughts on the fire department thing. But I would never say to Earl and Megan and to our staff, you have to do that. If I get to be the dictator of the council, so to speak. It seems to me that what we have not done is look at Earl and look at Megan and look at Steve and look at our staff and say, we can make better progress than we've been making. And one of the things that we need to do is support our tourism, really support the boat by cleaning up our city. But I don't think that any of us, even though I said the thing about the fire department, Steve, I don't think any of us on the council is in a position to dictate to staff how to do this. But I think we are in a position to say, hey, this is one of our priorities. Let's go. Let's get after it. And that was my point.
From what I can see, if we really want to do anything to make it better, there has to be additional staff somewhere that's responsible for that.
And that may end up being a part of the plan,
Yeah.
the plan of action. And that's essentially what I'm suggesting.
No, I'm not telling them to do anything.
No, no.
From what I can see,
I don't think any of this.
somebody's
here
got to be
qualifies.
responsible. Somebody has to take ownership of that
Yeah.
process. And, I mean, Kate has done a good job, but I don't know, what does she spend, 4 hours a week or less out looking around? Probably less. But if you had a full-time person doing the same thing she's doing, you get town cleaned up pretty quick. From what I can see.
I just wanted to also just sort of share a little bit of some of the things that I've learned from staff, and that is that, typically in these situations when staff sends out a notice or something, they may get a certain percentage of compliance right off the bat. The homeowner responds affirmatively and takes action, and I don't know, I mean, I've heard wide, anywhere from 70 to 90% comply right away. And those really aren't our issues. Our issues are, the 10, 20, or 30% that won't comply. And so that's the ones that eat up our time and money and resources because, and the reason I say this is because I hate hearing people get excited about this and think we've got a magic wand that we're going to wave and it fixes it, when reality is, even if we stick a full-time person on this, the process is so time-consuming on those people who won't comply voluntarily that even if we started today, it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 years before we see major results from the 10, 20, or 30% that won't comply voluntarily. So I don't want to get people excited that the day we hire a full-time employee that they're going to wave a magic wand and haul everybody into court and the prosecutor is going to prosecute and the judge is going to say you have to do this and the people are just suddenly going to comply because it's not that easy.
You're absolutely right.
Unfortunately, we've picked off the easier ones. Frankly, I mean, those 40, those were relatively easy because they were so dilapidated that there was absolutely no question, that they needed to come down or to have some serious, but when you get to the point where you're looking at a house that has drooping gutters, broken window, a little siding off, but in otherwise is structurally sound, that house, instead of being worth nothing, is worth $50,000. And so then you have a lot bigger liability to the community and to the staff as to which ones you're going to start working towards. And if you've got a reluctant or an absent from the state, for example, owner or landlord, then you've got issues of service and taking it through to court and prosecuting. We don't want to put people in jail. We don't want to fine people. We want them to fix their property. And that is not easy. That's the hard part. You can go through that whole process and still have a house sitting there that's really not up to speed. So it's not easy. It is absolutely not easy. So yes, we can get started, but it's not easy.
Yeah, I think you both make good points, and, on the last page of your comments, it talks about, well, what's a reasonable time to start? Well, how about October 1st? People read that in the paper and they go, hey, this is great, October 1st, we should start seeing something, where it may be, like you say, it might be 6 months before you even get the paperwork started. I don't want to get people hopeful. I want to move, but I don't want people to have unrealistic expectations. Was that your comment that you made? That's excellent.
Pretty much.
One of the things that did come out of our preliminary discussions is publishing what it takes. What are you going to look for? What are you going to do? What are the important things to look at? And we have a nice book, but it's a book. And so one of the things that we took away from those first discussions was, could we boil it down to a couple pages so people could really start kind of focusing on, what's really important? Habitability issues, fire safety issues, life safety issues. I think that's a very valid suggestion, so it's on the list.
I think the most important thing is get a plan and get started, period. I mean, that's the most important thing. I mean, if somebody sees a plan, they'll start cleaning up their property, a lot of people, so.
Kari, I think Kari
Well,
was
I
gonna
just wanted to
comment.
clarify that at our meeting, the point of it was to talk about Mike's presentation for landlord compliance with codes and ordinances, which we know we have the book and they need to be, maybe some of them need to be enforced better, but these, and I said this in our meeting the other night, these are kind of two separate issues, kind of under the whole thing of dilapidated or not acceptable and safe buildings. So I just wanted to clarify that there's the rental issue and dilapidated buildings, and it seems to be getting all shuffled together. So I just want to clarify that.
Steve?
But when you have 35 houses in the city of Missouri, from what I saw in the paper, and 1,100 are rental units, you're looking at almost a third of the pieces of property, so
Inventory.
if you got a problem, a
It's
lot
gonna
of them
be
are going to be rental.
Yeah. To your point, I would propose a motion. I move that this city council does hereby direct our city staff to create and implement a plan of action similar to that just presented by myself to A, survey and identify all dangerous dilapidated buildings in our city based upon the International Maintenance Code requirements in our current ordinances. B, inspect said buildings from the outside at a minimum, and where permission is granted, inspect the interiors as well. Establish the requirements to bring the buildings up to meet the codes established in the ordinance by the City of Boonville. Communicate these needs to the owners of the subject property through established processes, thus giving the owners an opportunity to comply, and D, enforce the requirements. And to your point, Julie, there is no timing in this motion. It simply asks staff to do the plan of action,
Okay.
which I agree with you, by the way.
Okay. So that's a formal motion?
That's a formal motion.
Okay.
Second.
Just
There-
Morris seconds that, okay? Now we have discussion. Steve?
Don't we have something kind of like that going on right now? I mean, this should be, we need to come out with one plan. I think we have something in motion already.
Well, we have a committee to study the rental side,
But that should be more than the rental side.
and it is, and the other side. This would not conflict with the committee at all. The committee is still going to be able to take these results and be able to work with them to see if there's anything in addition to what's proposed here that's needed, Steve. What this motion does is it says that we agree that we want to see this situation cleaned up as best as possible, and that we would like for staff to create the plan of action to get it done. That's what this says.
So Noah, what are you guys doing? I mean,
That's what we're working on.
I thought that's what they were working on.
Yeah, it's what we're
I think
working
this
on.
can be part of that, but I think look, I mean,
We'll
we
present
start here
something.
and there, it's hard to focus. I mean, we need one focused plan, I'm afraid.
There it is. There's a plan of action, and it can include the committee, or it can declude the committee. My bet is because you've already got Megan, you've got Earl working with Noah and Kari, that they're gonna be part of this, creating this plan. What this does is simply say the council agrees that there needs to be a plan to get this done, Steve. It's no different than what we've already done. And it includes what we've already done.
Haven't we already done that?
I
Not
think we're-
formally, but
No.
we've done it.
Yeah, not formally. That's why I propose it.
Other comments?
Well, I think that's what we're going to do once we come to a decision. We've only met one time, is make a proposal to the council of how to proceed and in what fashion. So I say we wait till we finish our meeting. That's my thought.
I agree. I would like to hear the proposal and the results of what this committee is doing currently and brings back. I agree something needs to be done. I stated that in the meeting previously, and I think that we're headed in that direction. You know, I agree, we need to, as a council, set some priorities and a direction, and have a plan of action of how we're gonna move forward. There's been a lot of issues come before the community and out in the community recently. We've heard about the need for the dog shelter. That continues to come up. I continue to get phone calls regarding that issue. We have talks of sports complex. We have talk of, you know, the Kemper property, the DDBs. You know, there's a lot of things out there that people want brought to the plate. And I think at some point we are going to have to set some priorities, because we don't have the staff to do all these things at one time, and we don't have the money and the funds to do all these things at one time. So I'm in agreement. I'd like to see us wait a little bit longer and see what comes back out of the committee that Noah and Carr are working on.
There's no timing in this, Becky.
Steve?
From my understanding, this group is gonna come give us alternatives so we can all discuss, right? Maybe, maybe not. I mean,
Okay. This is a
Probably for
motion that's
discussion.
been seconded.
Right.
So you can vote up or down on it. So, Noah?
I mean, I've read it several times now. I mean, it's basically in a nutshell what we're doing. I just from reading it, I can't see anything that would be. I mean, it's basically what we're doing in the committee. So I mean, I don't know if it harms or hurts what we're doing in the committee. Off the top of my head, I don't see anything. Has staff had a chance to read this or look at it? I mean, do you have any comments to the? I mean, personally, if we pass this,
the committee needs to stay involved.
Yeah.
I'm not sure both approaches don't end up at the same place. But I thought we had a productive meeting, and I think they need to stay involved and help us come out with sort of a definition of the scope, and then the implementing process and the pitfalls along the way, and what we need to do to address them. So I think that's probably what this says, and so I intend to keep the committee involved.
Okay. Any other comments? Roll call on the motion.
Ehlers,
No?
Heaton,
Yes.
because I don't think it's needed, no.
Evans,
No.
Meadows,
No.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Because I think we need to get started doing something, yes.
Carter.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Mary, what's the tally? And thank you, guys. What did I do to deserve this month? What's the tally?
It is a tie vote.
Okay, I vote no. I think the committee should move along as formed, and I think they'll do fine. I think they know now that they need to light the fire, get moving. Any other miscellaneous? Morris?
A couple of things. Earl, did we get our grant approved, Brownfield?
Well, I think the answer is no. We got the same email that everybody else apparently got. We haven't even made an application. And Kate, I don't know if you want to elaborate on it and all, but that was from the EPA, which is the ultimate source of funds to the state. So they were saying they're going to give some money to the state, and I guess the state give them sort of expressions of interest on where the money might go, but no.
Yeah, the state had to, they were asking for another allocation of funding through the Brownfields program, and in order to request that allocation, they have to talk about what's on their work plan, but that's their work plan, not the application's in, so there's a big difference between those two things. And so when the EPA made that made that announcement, they merely were sort of validating that they were going to allocate these funds with the understanding that these items on their work plan may come to fruition. So all three of those projects, the Lebanon project, the Kansas City, and ours, none of them have been applied for, so.
Well, that just need to be clarified. Thanks.
I also want to just mention that a lot of credit goes to Glenn Bishop. Thank you for your accolades, but Glenn is amazing and he knows everything. So if you mention one address, he'll go, oh yeah, they never mow their lawn or whatever. So I would be remiss to not give both him and Nick Edwards credit because they're really good.
Kate, hold on. You cleared that up like muddy pond water there. So I guess, does that mean we're going to apply then? Is that?
Oh, yes. Where we are in the process, we had to apply to the Missouri DNR to get them to do a phase 1 assessment, which is like the very first step in that entire process. And that bid actually did go out, and there should be someone coming to do that phase 1 shortly, I would say within the next 30 days. I guarantee that will bring a phase 2, so we'll do that one. At that point in time, then we'll have to start working on the transfer of ownership that we talked about. Okay. And then they get to apply, actually. So.
And those bids she refers to are done by the state, not by us, and they pay for them 100%. So once they decide the problem and define the problem, then we apply for the grant to clean up the problem as they define it.
Okay. All right.
But we don't actually apply for the grant, just to clarify.
That's right.
The ownership, the new entity gets to apply for the grant.
Anybody's interested in owning them.
Then, the
Yes.
other thing, Gary, is there anything we can do to that lake out behind Country Mark? I'm having a lot of complaints that it's awful.
I think you can walk on it, can't you? I think you can walk on it, can't you?
Not quite. We put a product in that thing every winter that's supposed to keep duckweed down. You do it when it's real cold and the duckweed settles to the bottom, but it never works. There's another product, and that's called Aquashade. There's another product called, it just slipped my mind, but it's a crystallized product that you spread around the edge of the lake to take care of the aquatic vegetation. The aquatic vegetation is not so much our issue as the duckweed. The duckweed is caused in large part by runoff from adjoining properties, from phosphates, from fertilizers, and then our friendly little two-legged winged friends that have populated the lake. Their droppings in the water cause a huge problem. I used to apply every year to the Fish and Wildlife Administration for permits to destroy goose nests, and I haven't done that for the last couple of years, and probably I'm going to have to start again. I don't know what I can do other than go out there with a micro seine and try to seine that stuff off of the water. The problem with duckweed is it multiplies, it doubles itself in as much as a day. It's that prolific, so once it gets started, it's almost beyond stopping at this particular point in time. I know we got a problem, we got a big problem, and we've had for years, and we've done everything that we could think of, and we've been told by the Department of Conservation to do to try to clean it up, and so far it hadn't really worked all that well.
Well, don't you have to be careful too, or you kill your fish?
If you put copper sulfate in that water, you can only do half of the lake at a time. And then you have to wait for like 5 or 6 weeks for the water to reoxygenate, and then you can go to the other side and do the other side. So yeah, copper sulfate was what I was thinking of a while ago, and that when that vegetation starts to die, then it depletes the oxygen out of the water. And if we go out there and treat the entire lake at the same time, we're going to kill every fish in it. And then we'll have an even bigger problem. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Steve? Did you have your hand up a minute ago?
No, I did.
Anyone else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
We're getting better at this because football starts soon.
Yeah.
8:15, we got better.